As you can see, I still haven't finished our new intro video. It's okay though. It's all right. We were busy.
Instead. Oh.
We were busy. I feel like if you have any thoughts on the music that we should use, if you've ever been listening to a song and been like, this should be their intro music, which is really weird thing to be thinking about, but we're open. Say hello when you come on. Tell us what you're feeling. So this is a new format. We're not after the session. It's a weekly energy update nowadays. We're very excited about this change. And in weekly energy update, we talk to you about how the energy has felt or is going to feel, because we do what we want. We'll pull a card, talk to you about life, that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I need to
Should we start with the card, or should we start chit-chatting first?
Do you have a thought? Do you have a card? This deck is not the one.
This deck popped out at me today. Louise Hay's Power Thought cards. I do always like these. I feel like they are really beautiful, powerful statements. I love Louise Hay's work too. She's just so beautiful. Okay. Ooh, okay. There is plenty for everyone, including me. The ocean of life is lavish with its abundance. All my needs and desires are met before I even ask. My good comes from everywhere and everyone and everything. Ooh.
I like that.
Yeah. That's a good one.
What does that make you feel?
Well, Jasmine and I talked a little bit before we started kind of what our topic that we were vibing towards, and I feel like this kind of goes into that. So do you want to introduce the topic?
I think so. First off, my mom is yelling at me because I didn't call her. I will call you tomorrow. I'll call you tomorrow. I was listening. Interesting. This is interesting because this is the reason that I didn't call, because I was hung up on a podcast. So I some real info about Jasmine. I absolutely 100% love long form podcasts. Okay. I don't know that other people around me love them as much as I do. Like, if I send my husband a podcast to listen to and it is more than like 10 minutes, he's not listening. If you send me a podcast that's less than like an hour, I'm not listening. I'm out. I'm out.
How do you guys feel? Are you a short podcast? Give it to me short and sweet, or do you like them long? I'm kind of like in between. The ones I usually listen to are about 90 minutes to 2 hours. I will look and go, oh my gosh, 3 hours. Do I really want to commit for that long? And I'll start listening. And if in the first like 20, 30 minutes, it does not capture me, I'm out.
I feel like, I guess it's because I will listen to it as I go through. Like, I don't necessarily sit and listen to the whole thing and like I'm not just sitting here. I think of it as like an audible book. Okay. I see it the same way as an audible book. So I will kind of go about the cabin. Anyways, we digress. That's not even what we're talking about. But I'm curious, in the world, do you listen to long form or short form podcasts?
Yeah.
This is like the one that I was into was like for real. This was a 3-part long. So it was like 9 hours in. Okay, people, I'm 9 hours in. And it's not so much about this particular podcast that brings up the subject to me, but it's more of like the spiral that I went into. And something, hello, Ashley. So it's more of the place that it took me. And my husband has said that we should talk about this before, and we kind of have talked about this before, but I went down a spiral of cults. Okay, I went there. I got into the space of cults, and I think we would be remiss if we did not talk about the fact that there are cult dynamics that happen in the spiritual community that we're a part of. That's a thing. It's not just a religious thing. I've and I got a bit fired up. And then there was a little bit like of these like dowdy things that happened for me, and it was really, really interesting. Um, and something that I felt really passionate about talking about is this. How do you make sure that you're being safe in your spiritual practice? How do you make sure that you're finding the right guides who really do have your best intention in mind, who are able to really help you process what you're going through and are not just saying they're qualified, and who maybe are not. I mean, we've all, maybe you haven't heard of it, but there are guides out there in the world who don't understand that they're not all the way healed and ready to help you. And I think it's our job to help educate you, because some of you guys that watch our channel and who come into our space are brand new to the energy world and you don't know that much about it. And I think that's a naive place to be in sometimes without guidance. So I feel like we should talk about this. And maybe, I don't know, Jenny, do you have experiences with people who maybe did not have the best of intention? Do you feel like you've ever gotten into a situation where it felt a little culty in the spiritual world? Do you want to talk about it today?
Yes. So, gosh, this was a long time ago. My ex-husband, well, husband at the time, and I he went to this meeting with this mentor and he signed up for this program. And as a byproduct, I also got to go. So I kind of went in not like flying blind, not knowing this guy from Adam. And it was rough. He was really rough. And he was definitely not working from a place of being healed himself. It was a lot of ego. And I actually still currently have a lot of friends that we bonded over this horrible mentor. And we learned a lot of what not to do in our practice. And, I think the one thing that's really beautiful, I mean, I don't think he really was conscious and aware. I really think he thought he was helping and trying to do his best. And it just did not align with me and where I was at the time in my healing journey. And I was able to see the red flags and was like, I'm out. And there was quite a few other people that also saw it. And I think he was really good for a lot of people for where they were, right? There's just levels. And I just think anytime a mentor says, this is the way, this is the way, this is the best way, this is the only way, all those other ways are not good enough.
Yeah.
To me, I'm like, run. Peace.
I feel like that would be like number one. Like if there was one thing that you remembered about this podcast as you go through picking who your mentor is going to be, if they tell you it's my way is the only way, this, like, if they're really wanting you to be in the space of like almost worshiping them, get the fuck out. Yeah. Like, get the fuck out. Get the fuck out. Because that's not your person. Any guide who is, in my opinion, all of my guides that have been the most beautiful energy and the most helpful energy to me have been like, okay, our job as guides is literally to guide you through your personal journey where you are at and meet you where you are and help you get there. It is not to get you to be like me, because we don't need more of me. We need you to find you. And yeah, anyway, if you're feeling that, get the out. So what made you be like, what? I feel like we're a little gossipy, but I think this is important to talk about. Like, what was the thing that was like, I'm not logging onto this phone and I'm not like going to be in his energy. I'm not going to be in his place anymore. What was the like final straw for you?
It's exactly what you said. He did not meet me where I was. And I questioned what he was doing. I was like, but why? Why do you want me to do that? And it was just like, don't question my authority. Don't question my authority. Well, who is that from South Park? Anyway, it was just well, I really need to understand this before I can like feel safe to do what you're asking me to do. I'm not just going to go into this blindly. I needed more information. I did not feel safe with what he was trying to get me to do. And so that was, and so he told me to leave. He was like, you can go out and sit in the car and wait. And while I finish with Mike, my husband at the time, you can go out. And I was like, peace.
Yeah.
And like the drive home was like, I'm not going back. I'm not going back. If you can't give me, like, allow my process, like, if you can't respect and my process, like, I'm never going to try to force someone into doing something that doesn't feel aligned for them. And especially like, if they want more information on why do you want me to do this? I am like, here you go, because of this and because of this, because of that. Mm-hmm. And then if they still are like, nope, and I'm like, okay, let's find another tool, because there's not like one size fits all.
Yeah, absolutely.
Just not gonna happen. So yeah, that was the biggest thing for me, was he did not respect where I was on my journey and would not respect my ways of processing. It was like, no, you got to do it my way. And I was, no, you know.
I feel like there's an interesting dynamic there about when a practitioner is trying to, a guide, a practitioner, a coach, or whatever, is trying to get you out of your comfort zone versus totally dismissing and not even paying attention to you. I feel like there's a difference there. And sometimes you're going to kind of be stretched to this place of like, oh, this is a little bit uncomfortable. But at least something that I'm really big in is, and what I want to give and what I also want to receive is I kind of want to be prepared. And I tend to really do this with people. It's like, whenever I'm guiding meditation or someone comes into my class for the first time, I talk about kind of what you can expect to feel. Mm-hmm. And so if a practitioner is not being honest with that piece of it, then that doesn't make me feel good. If you're not preparing me for the experience that I'm about to go through, that to me is a red flag. Like, don't put me into this meditation because I'm letting you in my sacred space. And that is something I feel like I hope everyone understands, is like, when you're working with a guide, you're like energetically naked in front of them, and you should feel comfortable with that. And if you don't feel comfortable sharing with your practitioner that's working with you, it's probably not the person, especially if you've gone to them a few times and you still feel yourself being like, oh, I don't want them to know this part of me. Probably not the practitioner for you too.
Yeah.
If they're not preparing you and you're not feeling comfortable and safe and secure, because ultimately that's what you need. We're going to get into this stuff. Like, I'm really going to like get to know you as a person. Mm-hmm. If you don't feel safe with me, I don't think you should be. That's not helping you.
No.
If you don't feel safe with me and you don't feel like I'm going to be delicate and gentle with your energy, then I don't want you to go through that. Mm-hmm. So if that's coming up for you, and it's so important, because when we go down this rabbit hole of cults on the freaking guys, I really got into a place. Like, it's a little bit funny because it's a little humorous to think about it, but also this is like a real thing. Mm-hmm. People can get, especially when you're brand new to this energy world, because it's a weird thing, right? The stuff that we say is kind of weird and it's different. And you have to really trust those gut moments where you're like, this is the weird I'm into. This is the weird that I'm not into.
Yeah. So I would love to know, everybody that's here, how do you know? How do you determine whether this is the weird you're into or this is the weird you're not into? Like, what are the telltale signs for you on whether you want to work with somebody and feel safe working with them or not?
Yeah, because you're spending a lot of one-on-one.
Wherever it is. Comments.
Oh, in ours it's this way, but in yours it's this way probably.
So what are some of the things that you either look for in a healer, a coach, a mentor, And what are some of the, like, that you go, oh yes, I feel good with this, or like that absolutely these are my red flags?
And I hope you guys do share because this is so important. Like these kind of conversations could save people's lives.
Yes.
It really can. Like there's so many times I even, if I'm being honest with you, if you're a practitioner, how do you know that a client is safe for you to work with as well? It's not just about finding the right guide. It's about really, I mean, ultimately this conversation is where are you safe and where are you not?
Mm.
Like truly, how do you know? The other day, this makes me think of the other day, Jenny, when we were coming home from Logan. And I pulled into a gas station and I pulled right on through. Because I was like, and then my daughter Ellie was in the back seat. She's like, that gas station did feel sketch. And we just went right to the next gas station. And I mean, I don't know if anything would have happened at that gas station, but it did not feel good. So I moved along to the next thing because that was, and you gotta really trust that intuition, whether something feels good.
Yeah. And anytime there's someone who's telling you things that are against your intuition or argues with your intuition, to me, that's always like a, I,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, absolutely. If you're telling me that my intuition is wrong all the way and you're not like helping me understand and you're not guiding me through this process and you're just saying, nope, you're wrong. Unvalidating of the feelings.
That's gaslighting.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
Yeah.
My mom says one of my flags is when I first meet them, did I enjoy their company? And would I like to see them again if their attitudes are like shitty? I agree. If I meet you and I'm like, yes, it's like dating.
Yeah.
Do you want to be and go on a date with them? Or are you like, actually, I don't want to see them again?
Mm-hmm.
That's a really fair thing to say. And again, for people who are practitioners, it's fair to say that that client's not for you too. And I think it's your duty to say that.
Yeah.
If you don't feel like there's definitely been people who I have not rescheduled because I'm like, that did not feel great for me. And I've given them to different practitioners or whatever, and it's been fine. It's just from our energies didn't work well together.
Well, that's the card that we pulled today, right? There's plenty for everyone, right? My ex-husband, it's interesting, he's showing up a lot today, but he said there's a seat for every ass.
Mm-hmm.
And so, I mean, just like that one mentor did not work for me, some people had really good experiences with him and they learned what they needed to learn from him and they loved that. And it was like, good for you, not for me. And so it really, I think, comes down from knowing and trusting your gut, your intuition, your inner knowing. But how do you get to that point?
How do you get to that point? How do you get to that point of really trusting yourself? And for me, it's you have like, I feel like the answer is always meditation on these things. like, if you don't know and you're not in tune with your body, then you're not going to feel the changes that happen. You're not.
Yeah.
You're not going to feel when it feels right and when it feels wrong. And
yeah. I mean, for me, it's like really knowing my inner soul. Like, what is it that my soul really needs? And this is the whole program that we are doing next year is soul connection. How do you connect to your soul? How do you know your soul?
Yeah.
And we're getting ready to do an online summit where we're going to teach you 5 ways to connect to your soul.
Yeah.
And we're teaching 5 ways because the one that works best for me might not work best for you. But there's a whole bunch of different ways that you can connect to your soul. And so that's why we want to teach that. So you can tune into your inner guiding system and go, okay, is this person the right guide for me? Is this class the right thing that's going to help take me to the next level? And it's for you to know. No one can tell you this is what you need.
Absolutely not. Yeah. I feel like when you can learn how you process things and learn how it feels to you, feeling for me is like if my emotions and the way that my body feels is the biggest guide for me, like bar none. And when I can understand what those feelings mean for me,
Mhm.
using references from other people, like I use so many different lineages to decide. I do TCM 5 elements, I do regular elements, I do chakras, all these different systems that I use. And really, it's always about connecting to how I'm feeling. And I just want to use them as a way of how I'm feeling.
Hey, Zach. So in the end, it's up to ourselves to truly find ourselves. Amen.
Yeah.
Listen to those who offer advice. We should always be learning and looking through different lenses. I love that. For me, I find answers in peace when alone and looking within myself instead of searching for answers outside of myself. Oh, yes.
Absolutely.
I
Amen.
know myself better than any teacher ever could, but teachers offer lessons, and it's through lessons that we learn. Yes, Zach. Oh my gosh.
Zach for the win. That's awesome. I agree with all those things. Like we have to listen to the body, and for me that means meditation. I'm guiding into meditations. I'm really dropping into who I am as a person. And soul connection. We are getting ready to do our summit on the 8th, and it's all about commitment to yourself, connecting to yourself, and exactly what Jenny was saying, the 5 ways that we do this when we're talking about the clairs. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So if that's something you're interested in and you want to learn more and you vibe with us, because I think we're pretty dope, but we're not for everyone. If you're in for some enlightenment, which, Jenny always says literally means lighten up, connecting to yourself in this fun way and really feeling who you are and being in a space, my favorite thing about our group, and not to toot our own horn, but to toot, it's really big for Jenny and I to create a space where you can disagree with what we say. It's like so important to us. Like I am always so thrilled. One of our lovely members, she will start something. I don't mean to offend you, but you triggered the shit out of me yesterday in class or whatever it is. And I'm always like, yes, say that so we can talk about it. And maybe you misunderstood me, or maybe I misunderstood you, or maybe we can find this common ground where we can really connect with each other. And just like Zach says, there's teachers who are guiding you all the time and you can learn lessons. Everyone who's in our group is our teacher too.
Mm-hmm.
Because we're truly on this journey together. And maybe we have the words that you need, but you have the energy for us. And before we got on, we were talking, our program for this year that we just are in now is called Rising, right? That's what we've been doing this whole year as our studio. And next year it's going to be all about soul connection. So we're going through this journey along with everyone, and we're all learning together, and no one here knows anything more than anyone else. Maybe there are people who are on the path just a little further and have those words I was saying and the education and maybe just a little more knowledge, but that doesn't make us any smarter or as if we figured life out altogether. And so when people disagree or we have these enlightening conversations, which tend to come from a little moment of like, oh, I'm not sure about that, I always feel like I gain so much more from that kind of community. And so it is a big deal for us. And we are super happy when people disagree with us.
Yeah. I mean, one of the things that we're really big on is like, here, let us show you we don't even say rules. We call them bumpers, like on a bowling lane. It's kind of like these little bumpers. But in the end, we are always encouraging, inviting, and giving permission for you to find your way.
Yeah.
Like, that's the big thing that I just love. And so for those of you who are like rule followers, you might not love our style, but those of you that are like freedom fighters and you want to discover and explore different ways and find your way that works for you, we might be that one for you.
Yeah.
And it's, if you're coming to a place to find agreement and validation for like, this is right and this is right, we may not be for you. But if you're at the place where it's like, hey, I want to be open and I want to discover and I want to find maybe some new ways to look at things, we may be for you. So it's, as we're talking about different, ways to know how you know if a guide is right for you, it's good to know, like, if you're a rule follower.
If you want like super strict accountability and like super schedule,
Not us.
maybe not for you. But if you want, like, we are really part of our program is there's a video chat. If you know Marco Polo, then you know what it is. But it's a video chat, and we communicate all the time. And Jenny and I are not really so much with the schedule, but we're with the connection piece, and we really love to connect with everyone and get to know your stories. We get fairly invested in our group, especially people who are coaching with us for a whole year. Um, Mostly, you'll be like, "Stop talking to me, go away, go away."
Yeah.
But yeah,
Yeah. We love
but you
open
have
dialogue. We love open dialogue. We love finding little nuggets of inspiration in all things and really believe that every little thing has a purpose. Like, it's not just accident. There's no coincidences, right? Everything happens for a reason, and let's figure it out. Ooh, it's like a mystery.
we're pretty into the questions. So if you like, that's like my key. Like, if you come and you're hanging out with us, we're gonna ask you lots of questions to dig in deeper to yourself. So we like to have a good time, but we also like to really get in it. So if you're like a little bit scared, if you can speak that, then you're gonna love us. If you're like, oh, I don't know, maybe not.
Yeah.
And I also think, kind of going back to our original topic about how to know if a guide is right for you. If if you're brand new and they're not willing to have a conversation with you, that to me is a red flag. And I know that there are coaching programs in the world where you maybe don't talk to, and I have those kind of mentors too. But if you're looking for a real guide for transformation to happen for you, and they're not willing to have a conversation with you before money is exchanged, like, sure, I'm not saying like you need that people should be giving you hours, but if they're not willing to have a little bit of a conversation with you before a session, I don't know. For me, that's a flag personally, but other people don't care about that. And really, in those conversations, asking them about their motivation, asking them about their story, asking them why they're passionate about it. I think those are really good tips to look for when you're interviewing a guide
Mhm.
and someone who you want to be. And a lot of times, guides will have this on their website. Um, so you may be able to see their story there, but that helps me get a sense of how to pick a guide.
Yeah.
I want to talk to them. I want to feel their vibe. And I mean, I've been doing this a while, so the discernment's pretty good for me. But I usually know pretty quick if someone's my person or they're not.
Yeah.
Without judgment, just is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So if you want to hang with us and you want us to be your guide and you want to maybe have a little bit of an interview process, you're always welcome to comment in the chat and just say, hey, I'd like to have a conversation to see if what you guys are doing at your studio is the right fit for me. Always, you're super welcome to comment. We are not that famous that we will not respond to you. We're not that famous. And if you want to join our Soul Connection Summit, which is going to be the 8th, it is $27, but you get some bling. There's a ring involved if you're one of the first 20 people to sign up for that. And we still do have some spots for that. And we're going to really dive into the 5 ways to connect to yourself. And then we're going to have a ceremony, a little commitment to self ceremony. I am ordained, so I'm going to just marry you to yourself. And it will be a good time.
I love it. So excited. I now pronounce you self and soul whole.
Oh,
Dude, that like just came out right there. I'm gonna write that down. Download.
Oh, so we did have our retreat in lava this weekend. And a part of that, retreats are always a good time because they're always like really funny. And there's like funny things that happen late at night because no one goes to bed at a decent hour at these retreats. Like that doesn't happen. So we're like in the town at 11 o'clock at night. And that's definitely been like Channel for You was absolutely, I don't know if this is like some Top Gun stuff, like yes, that this is our sign for channeled for you, friend.
Yeah. So if you want some of that, if you're like really wanting to connect to your soul, if you're like, I don't know what the heck my soul is, I don't know how to connect to it, I don't know how to hear it or see it or feel it or what the heck, like I really want to do that. Just like comment, say, hey, I think I want to connect more to my soul, or I'm ready to connect more to my soul, or I need a little more information, and we'll reach out to all of you. Or you can message us too if you want. But it is that's a powerful place. Like, had I really not been connected to my soul when I was in that chair across from that mentor, and he was going to force me to do this thing that did not feel right to me, and there would have been no harm. Like, it wasn't like anything bad was going to happen, but it just didn't feel right. And if I wasn't connected to my soul, I would have just caved and done it, and then like second guessed my soul every time something happened. Been like, well, I'm just going to give my power away because I guess you know better. Like, that's not what we're about. We want you to be empowered to make decisions for you, and that does, like, we have zero say in that. We just want to empower you to feel confident in knowing what's right for you. So if you don't feel confident right now knowing what's right for you, Soul Connection Summit, this summit that's coming up, it's going to teach you different ways. Maybe you've been trying to find it one way and it's just not your way. So let us show you 5 different ways, and we're going to play with each of them so you get actual time to go, this was really good for me, or like, yep, this isn't my way.
Like, that's a solid no, friend. Thank you. Have a good day. And you know, if you kind of come into this space and you're like, I don't know, man, you also can come and hang out with us in the studio. Or, like Jenny said, if you are at all thinking about it and you want to have a conversation with us, we are super down to chat about the spiritual energy world all day, every day, all the time.
Mm-hmm.
It's super fun, and we really do love explaining it to people who maybe are confused or they have mixed emotions, mixed feelings. I don't know. I feel like there's always people in the world who are afraid to say, I don't know. And I hope that this space becomes an awesome space for you to say, I just need a little bit of help. Like me, I need help.
Mm-hmm.
I want to step in and receive more information to see if it feels good for me, because ultimately we're really about teaching you how to meditate, like really effectively. That's like that's what we're peddling.
Yeah. Well, and let's just for a minute break down. Meditation doesn't mean sitting in pretzel leg pose like this.
Yeah.
There's so many different ways of meditation, just like there's so many different ways to connect to your soul. And we don't teach just one way, because we really want to give you time to explore your unique way. I mean, how would you love to just like like really be able to connect to your soul so that when you're getting ready to enter a new partnership, you can tune in and go, is this really what I want? Instead of playing those same old patterns over and over and over again. Like at the end going, why do I pick the same freaking relationship? When it's time to maybe change careers or to move or to shift your focus in life or how to help your kids or your neighbors or your family. Like, how amazing would it be to feel and know that connection for self first so that you can really help other people?
Absolutely. Like, yes. Your discernment, oh my gosh. How to like
10 out of 10 recommend.
10 out of 10 recommend. How great would it be to have a tool that helped you decide what you were going to have for dinner? Like that's a yes restaurant, that's a no restaurant. Like, or like some tools. I'm a huge pendulum user. I love using pendulums. And when I don't want to make a decision at all, I just ask my pendulum. And it is happy to make it for me. And usually, I don't think I've ever been like, I wish that did not happen. Usually, it takes me to cool places. You can even go grocery shopping with them. And you can get it to pick what aisle you want it to go on. It's like a little personal assistant that tells you what to do.
So maybe this is for the people who want someone to tell them what to do, after all.
I guess, but that's like yourself.
Yeah.
Like your pendulum is yourself. Yeah. And to use a pendulum, you do have to trust yourself. That's very true. I actually had this conversation last week with someone who was frustrated their pendulum wasn't working. And you got to trust you. For the pendulum to work, you got to trust yourself.
That connection to soul.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Okay. I feel like we've kind of beat this down. To summarize this whole life, so that you don't join a cult, learn how to connect with yourself. So you don't get into some really weird culty situations. Let's learn how to trust our own intuition. Let's learn how to feel some discernment. Let's learn how to read the vibes a little bit of people around us. And if your track record is not great, let us help you, so that you can start to get with the right people, and you can start to find the right guides in your life, the right friends in your life, the right partners in your life, and we can start to raise the vibe of people around you so that you're not feeling yucky all the time.
Yay. Mama Bonnie, I love the subject today. You gave me a lot to think about when I go find my guide.
I love it.
Yay.
And if you have questions and you're like, hey, guys, I found this guide person, I'm not sure, I'm okay to like do a muscle test for you if it feels like the right person. If you need a little backup. I don't want anyone joining a cult. Okay. No one here needs to be joining a cult.
Yeah.
Don't do it. 10 out of 10 do not recommend. Anyway, okay. We love you guys so much. Next week we'll see you on Tuesday and on Wednesday, because next week is readings. See you guys 2 times next week. Just go ahead and put that in your calendar. Tuesday and Wednesday. Okay.
Okay.
Bye.
Love you.
Oh, I have to hit the right mouse. Okay.